Here's a variation of the basic no-knead recipe that is surprisingly good considering how simple it is. The secret ingredient is steel-cut oats, which can be purchased at bulk at a natural foods grocery store or packaged as original Irish oatmeal. McCann's is probably the most popular brand. Steel-cut oats give the bread a great taste and texture that is significantly unique from the other no-knead recipes. You can play around with the ratio of ingredients to your liking, but here's a quick rendition of how I do it. I take a large mixing bowl, place it on the scale, and zero out the weight. Now I'm going to add about 3 ounces or about 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour, a half to 2/3 cups of the steel-cut oats, and here's what they look like up close in case you're not familiar with them. They're just little grains, little nuggets of oats. And then I just bring the total weight up to 16 ounces with white flour. And this is happens to be unbleached, unbromated, organic white flour, bread flour. So it's high in gluten. So that is a total of 16 ounces, 1 pound of stuff, to which I add the water and sourdough starter. This is 1.5 cups of water and 1/4 cup of sourdough starter, and it's kind of a firm sourdough starter. If you wanted to make this with yeast, with regular commercial yeast instead of sourdough starter, you would simply mix 1/4 teaspoon of the yeast into the dry ingredients and mix it all together. And for that, I would recommend the SAF instant yeast. Now I've found that dissolving the sourdough starter in the water before you mix it in with the dry ingredients works the best. It just makes it easier to incorporate all the ingredients. And then just stir it up. No kneading required. And now I'm going to just put it in a plastic bag and let it sit overnight at room temperature for 18 hours. Okay, did anybody notice that I forgot something? If you noticed that I forgot to add the salt, then you move to the head of the class. This is 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and you don't want to forget that. I have forgotten it before altogether, and the bread will turn out amazingly bland. So I'm just going to add it now. So I'm going to mix it all in and cover it, and then come back tomorrow. Okay, it's only been 16 hours since I mixed the dough up. Normally I would wait a full 18, but since the summer season's coming on and it's quite warm in the house, the dough is definitely ready to go. So the rest of the steps are exactly like all the other no-knead recipes and videos that you've seen. So I'm just going to speed through this. This dough is a little bit drier than it could be with the no-knead process, so you won't get as big a holes, but it's also going to rise a lot higher. So there's always pros and cons to everything. I'm going to fold it over a couple times. Sticky. Well, you know, it isn't so dry. Ship it into kind of a ball here and let it rest for 15 minutes, covered with plastic. And after the 15-minute rest, I'm just going to line the proofing basket with wheat bran, which is still the best thing I've found. Now there's a lot of different ways of doing this, and you'll find suggestions around in the website. Okay. And then I'm just going to pick up the dough and invert it and kind of shape it into a ball roughly and quickly, and just place it upside down in the basket, and then cover again with plastic and let sit for about an hour and a half before I put it in the preheated oven. Instead of covering it with a plastic bag for the final proof, you can also cover it with a linen towel like this. Works well. Then after about an hour and a half or so, you can place your risen dough into a preheated oven, into a preheated La Cloche or cast iron Dutch oven or lidded casserole dish, whatever you're using for your baking vessel. Just make sure it's preheated to a good 500 degrees. Cover it and let it bake for about 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes, remove the lid and reduce the temperature to 450 for a remaining 15 minutes. So a total of 45 minutes bake time. And after 15 more minutes, just take the bread out to cool. And if you really want to make sure your dough is done inside and not gummy, then place an instant read thermometer in it and make sure the temperature is at least 200, maybe 205 degrees. Okay, this is 205 degrees, so it's definitely done. And now we'll just let it cool for about an hour, hour and a half, and eat it. And inside, we have bread. That looks good, hopefully tastes good, and is good for you.